This is how it
Hello!
starts.
Don't let the alluring voice fool you. I'm a lethal killing machine. Always believed in freedom of the press. Excellent work. Quit now, and cake will be served.
Honey, who doesn't enjoy cake?
I am the instrument of justice, and I cannot fall.
No matter how much you want to give up, don't. You have to have hope. Good hunting. Try not to die.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very special episode of Dames Who Game. We are live at the 2021 Women in Games Global Conference. I'm really excited about it. We are the Dames Who Game. We're a podcast. We talk about gaming, nerd culture, makeup, books, movies, all of the things that make us happy. We are comprised of two podcast networks coming together, ASA Podcasting and We Just Love Games Networks. My name is Shalene. I am also the host of GameStack Podcast and That Fallout Show podcast. And joining me today are my lovely, amazing, talented co-hosts, two of my favorite humans on the planet. Hi, Jen. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. My face hurts from smiling so much.
Lovely. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jen.
I am an avid gamer and a content creator. I love games so much. I like to do stuff inside of them and do stuff around them. So, and I also podcast with you.
Lovely. And Jess, hello. Tell us about yourself, Jess.
Good morning, Shalene. Good morning, Jen. Yes, so I'm Jessica Starr. I podcast on several shows, including the Fallout Feed and Dames. I'm also a streamer. I run the United Wastelanders Network, a network dedicated to the Fallout series, and also helped found the Fallout Community Stream Team. Super happy to be here with y'all. Thank
you. And we also want to thank Women in Games for inviting us to be here today. We are very pleased to be here and we want to acknowledge the work that they do. I know that you ladies have been checking out some of the other sessions. Jess, did you want to talk a little bit about what you've experienced thus far?
Oh, goodness gracious. So the Women in Games Global Conference so far has been wonderful and inspiring. From the welcome yesterday, where the goals of the mission were laid out and the goals of the conference through all the sessions yesterday, just fantastic. I very much enjoyed the session on online toxicity. It's a difficult subject, but one with which we're all intimately acquainted. So it was good to get it out there. And I want to thank not just the panelists, but everyone who's been in chat. There's been so many amazing perspectives. Yesterday, I made some great connections with some amazing women, and I hope to continue to do so. It's been wonderful.
Lovely, lovely. We are so happy to be here and just absolutely honored to have been invited. Today, during our panel, we are going to be talking about the games we've been playing and the games that you in the live audience have been playing. We do want to take some time to focus on some of the lesser known and sort of indie games that we've been checking out today. But of course, we are the Dames Who Game, so let's talk about what we're playing. Jen, you want to start us out?
Oh my goodness, super heavy way to start out. I started playing Sea of Solitude, and are you familiar with that game, guys?
I remember seeing the trailers at E3, and I thought it looked fantastic.
Well, I couldn't resist the artwork because you know how I do with artwork, and at the beginning of the game, there's a trigger warning to advise you of the content. It deals a lot with anxiety, depression, bullying, isolation, and loneliness. I think loneliness is kind of their focus, but as I was playing, a lot of these things started happening, and you're Kay. And you're a little character, and you've got a little boat, and the world is very, very dark. And you've got a little friend with you who's a bright light, and they help. Glowy is her name, and she helps you to kind of illuminate more of the world. As you do that, you trigger an and unleash memories, traumatic memories. So it's really quite immersive. The graphics are beautiful. The mechanics of the water are just really gorgeous. But the content is intense. And there's one part in the game late at night. I don't like to play horror games late at night. I'm like a 9 a.m. horror game person with all
Yes.
the lights on. I have my headset on, curled up on the sofa, and I enter this one room, and it's completely dark in the game, and I'm like, what's going on? Is my screen okay? And I realize that I'm listening to my headset, voices whispering threats in the space. It was like a bullying section. You're literally groping in a dark room to try and find your way through, and the voices are menacing and terrifying, and you're trying to run through. There's a whole section with this, and so it was really, I heard those voices all night, and sometimes when I close my eyes. So it can be really scary. And I really recommend playing it through to the end. I didn't get to do that because something happened to my game file, and when I went back, I was like 2 chapters from the end. When I went back, my game file disappeared and it started over. And I was like, hang on a second, whoa, I'm not going through that room again. That was way too much. So I watched a playthrough at the end to make myself feel. I couldn't do it. It was really
I understand.
intense. Beautiful game, beautiful ending. I'm not going to spoil anything for anyone. But it is kind of an emotional roller coaster, this whole game. And there are lots of dives. The artwork is gorgeous. And after all of that, and all of that emotional, it's not really a horror game. It's much more psychological horror, I guess. Internal horror, the voices you hear when you got anxiety. It's a lot of that. So it felt good to hear somebody else deal with, normalizing that kind of stuff. Like, oh, right, I know that voice that tells me I'm terrible at everything. You can hear that in the game. But it's kind of self-horror and self-acceptance. So a good game, a little heavy-handed, but I think they're really heavy topics. After that super intense psychological madness that I went through, I played a game that was a palate cleanser, which is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
Oh my, okay. So talk
Yeah.
about an emotional roller coaster after the emotions elicited by the game you just played, your palate cleanser. You went back to your roots with Turnip Boy.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were going to say with tax evasion.
I went back to my
Oh no, well, possibly.
Not at all.
I thought we were learning new things about Jen.
No way. But Turnip Boy is a little bit of a jerk, and he commits tax evasion and loses his farm, his little turnip farm. So he's got to make it up to. This is not a spoiler, but he's got to make it up to this angry little onion guy. You are an adorable little turnip. It's a top-down game that has battles, like old school boss battles. The whole thing is 8-bit, and puzzles. You've got to unlock different things. It was delightful and fun, but the first boss is a pig, and I squealed when I killed him because he exploded in little strips of animated bacon.
Oh, goodness gracious. I do have to ask, though, did the evil onion make you cry? Because they're known to do that.
Not quite. Emotionally, yes, but he wasn't attacking me. I needed to cry. There are adorable little vegetables all through this. You have to stay away from snails because they're vegetarians. They will eat you. But there are lots of little mobs to fight. Everything is so freaking cute, and the whole game is full of hilarious little stories. You go and talk to different vegetables, and they tell you their stories. The game is also rife with gaming language. So it's funny. It's very tongue in cheek. Like there's one little quest where you have to get a tier 3 sub. actual submarine sandwich
Oh my gosh, that's
to a
amazing.
streamer who's inside
I
a
heard
bar.
tier 3 sub, my ears popped right up.
Yeah, right. So you got to get it, and then you get your own gamer tag from her, and you get a crown, Shalene. There are hats to collect in this game. There is a whole panel of hats to collect. So
You can
far, I
wear
have
little turnip hats.
his little leaves stick out the top of his freaking little crown. He's so adorable. It's so cute. So anyway, it is a lot of fun. You can collect your hats. You collect little papers. I didn't know how to collect the papers. It only gives me an option to rip them up. So there's also one scenario where you meet a strawberry and she's talking to a blueberry, and you have to deliver a note, Skyrim style. You know, you deliver a love note from one to the other, but the only option was to rip it up. I'm like, I'm such a jerk.
Oh,
Turnip
goodness
Boy is
gracious.
such a jerk. Yeah, he just goes through everything, and your only option is to tear up all the receipts, the letters. You just ripping everything up. He has zero regard for anybody else's documents. He's just.
But what if it was very important for them to see?
Right?
Oh,
He's
well.
Turnip Boy. He'll do anything. He's the root of all evil.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's adorable, and he's got cute little cheeks.
So I'm seeing in chat that some people have actually played the game, and they're saying that the writing for it is very funny. A lot of love for the game. Amy mentioning that right there. Gemma saying best writing ever, so hilarious. So did you complete this game or just cleanse your palate so far?
Not yet. I did 2 bosses, and I'm working my way up to. I was about to do the 3rd boss, and I went to bed because I needed to sleep and be bright and chipper for today. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, like, probably after this, I will queue up Turnip Boy because I've had a lot of coffee.
That sounds great. I'm wanting to know if the onion is somehow related to the Overcooked Onion King. I feel like there must be some kind of connection there.
They're probably cousins.
Yes, definitely cousins.
It's an entire vegetable medley, Shalene.
It's adorable.
We don't want to stir fry the pot.
Oh, goodness gracious. There are hat aficionados in chat as well. So, I think you're selling people on the game on the hats alone.
Yes, I definitely, I saw the hat comments, and I feel like these are my people. Yeah. So, Jen, is that what you had to talk about today?
Yeah. I did want to let you know, Shalene, that I also started playing Life is Strange for the first
one
time. Yeah, I've never played it.
Yes.
And I didn't realize it was such an intense photography game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of photo history in that game, and I'm a bit of a photo nerd, so I love all of it. So yeah, I'm still feeling very uncomfortable with some decisions I made in that game, and I may need your counseling.
Get used to that.
Later.
Yeah.
Oh no. But
The
Life is
photography
Strange.
You're gonna love Life is Strange. It's really, really good. I'm excited to check out the new one, True Colors. We stream those on We Just Love Games, myself and Vendortron, and we just cringe while we make decisions we know we're gonna regret. So, Jess, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing several games, actually. I know we're going to focus more today on some of the lesser known or indie titles we've been playing. So when I'm not, God, I've been on such a retro adventure lately with the re-release of Mass Effect, jumping back into Oblivion, all these comfort food games. It's been that kind of summer. But for a new game that just came out, I have been playing Boyfriend Dungeon. I know it's kind of a loaded category, being a dating sim, and there's can be baggage there for people, but it's a wonderful game. One of the things that attracted me to it, besides fantastic art on the cover, is that it's made by a company called Kit Fox Games. I'm a very big fan of many of their games, previously having played Shattered Planet, and most relevant to this, the game Moon Hunters. Moon Hunters is probably one of my favorite indie games of last gen. It's a kind of a hidden gem if you guys haven't played it, and it deals with mythology, and over a 3-day kind of cycle, a loop, which very popular right now. A lot of games doing time loops, but this was doing that a couple years ago. And the idea of repeated myth and seeing things from different perspectives. The reason why I say that it's relevant to this is that in many ways, aside from the dating sim aspect, there's a lot of similarity between the two games. So Boyfriend Dungeon, the way it's set up, besides being a visual novel in the intro, and it gets you right into the action. Some great talks with characters. The game lets you know immediately you are here to meet people and date. Mostly swords, it turns out. Surprise, surprise. Perhaps an axe or, a blade of another kind. But yes, that's why you're here. It gets right into it. But the layout of the game after the visual novel portion is that you're going through these characters, meeting these characters, getting to know them, making your decisions. Then you're put into an isometric world. And the way you level up in this game is it's an isometric dungeon crawler. And the way Kid Fox does them is neat because I tend to be a fan of tactical combat most of the time. Give me 1 or 2 enemies, make them difficult, let me figure out how I'm going to, what tactics I'm going to use to deal with them, whether we're doing stealth, whether it's a frontal assault, lots of running away and rolling in my case. But this is more of the style where they throw a lot of enemies on screen at once, attacking you from all sides. And they did that in their previous game too. So that was kind of interesting to see, but I've really learned to enjoy it with the powers that you have. Let's see. I feel that it is a bit difficult in the combat because of the way that it's done instead of being tactical, at least for me. But one thing that's neat about the game is that there are a couple difficulty settings. They have a goddess shield of sorts. So if you want to take just half damage from enemies, you can. And goodness knows that really helped, which I also did in their previous game. Nothing wrong with turning down the difficulty on a game like this if you want to get to the story. And it's still very tactical. I do want to say, give you all a content warning about it, though. And they are good about that with the game, too. Kit Fox, right when you first load in, there are a couple of things. They let you know that at least one of the characters is going to be overly forward. There are going to be some stalking, gaslighting, stuff like that. It's a little bit realistic in that way, but it's done in a way that is not beyond, well, honestly, our everyday experience in some cases, but
Right.
but the character is easy to deal with, and you get a number of different personality types. So they have that. They also have a content warning that you're going to get supportive messages from your mother during the game, and you can actually opt to turn that on or off, which I thought was a
It's really interesting.
nice feature. Exactly, because not everyone wants to receive supportive text from mom. Or maybe everyone does, but there are times when it's appropriate, times when it's not. So that was great. Really enjoying it. One thing it kind of made me think about, though, that I wanted to discuss with you all. In a game like this, that's a dating sim, the romance is always very character player centric. Okay, some games have romances that are set up such that certain characters are attracted to only kinds of genders or people who do certain things, and others are set up as a more general thing, as in, I'm attracted to the player, and that's something that has been happening in any number of games. Take BioWare games. There are some games in those where all the different romance options are into your character, and others where, if you're playing a female character, you won't be able to romance them, or vice versa. And I was wondering if you had a preference on that, if you felt it was more realistic to have different sexualities in the game, or if you enjoy it being kind of focused around your character and open.
I think there's a place for both, definitely. I appreciate. I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. I've spent many hours of my life in Thedas, and I do appreciate in some of those games how some of the characters, it makes them feel more like actual people because they're only attracted to certain types of people, not just in terms of sexuality, but also in terms of I won't date this person if they're not the same race as me, or I won't date this person if they make this type of choices. But at the same time, there is a big appeal to the traditional otome game or dating sim type game where you're just in the middle of this lovely selection of handsome people, beautiful people who want to date you. You know, there's a place for both. So.
I totally agree. It may be a little bit less realistic when you start to gamify it and look at the meta, you know, where you're like, once you do multiple playthroughs, you're like, oh, they're all into me. You know, so if you're doing just one playthrough, that sort of thing is fine, but it is nice, as mentioned in chat. Sometimes people like it when you're turned down. No thanks. Totally agree with that, Robin.
Yes.
So that is Boyfriend Dungeon. I have finished it. Well, to be fair, I'm still playing max relationships because you can do both romantic and platonic relationships. So even though
I love that. That's amazing. So you can be BFFs with your sword too.
Absolutely. Yes. And so if you find one and you choose monogamy or not, you know, you can then level up the others in a platonic fashion. So I'm still playing through and getting to max level and getting to know everybody. Really fun game. And I do think that it could be very repeatable as well. Just like their previous game I mentioned, Moon Hunters. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because I want to recommend both. You know, this panel is about smaller games we played that we really love and want to share. But I definitely recommend it. It's a good 8 to 10 hours at least.
Oh, wow.
That sounds really fun. What else have you been playing?
Well, I haven't played any other smaller games recently. There are a couple on my backlog. One thing I didn't know if you wanted to get into were games on your list that are backlogged that you really want to play and how you deal with that. Because we recently had a conversation about backlogs in Discord.
Yes.
And oh my goodness, there are so many games. Right now coming out, Artful Escape, Craftopia. I did make a character in Craftopia. It's a Zelda-like, but it's so hard to describe the game because it's Zelda, but it's a builder like Minecraft, and it's a bit of a Second Life kind of world sim. Really excited about playing more of that. But that's really what I've been playing mostly recently, besides, Fallout.
Lovely. I'm definitely here to hear what you've been interested in lately too. I have some of those things on my list as well. Well, I checked out a new game the other day. I was having the kind of day over this weekend where I just wanted to lay on the couch and not get up. I just wanted to become one with the cushions. And so I got out my Switch and I wanted something new, so I was browsing the eShop and I discovered Wasteland Golf Club. So we're all big Fallout fans. We all do Fallout podcasts. That's how we met each other, was via Fallout podcasts. You guys know that I adore the apocalypse as a setting. It's one of my favorite things to think about, to experience, to immerse myself in, whether it's via games, books, TV, etc. So I definitely had to grab Wasteland Golf Club.
A post-apocalyptic golf game? Are you serious?
Yes! Post-apocalyptic golf game. So Wasteland Golf Club is a 2D physics-based golf game. So but you're in this post-apocalyptic Earth. The conceit of the game is that the Earth is in ruins and all of the wealthy have fled to Mars, but they come back to Earth to play golf sometimes amidst the shattered remnants of the world.
Are they all
okay.
in little Argyle socks? Please say little hats.
Yes, it's little tufted hats.
Wasteland golf game, Victoria, is what we're talking about. So you're in basically a hazmat suit because the Earth is not. It's your Argyle socks are not formidable enough to protect you against the rigors of this ruined Earth, and I really, it's fun to play. It's just a physics-based golf game, and the hazards are all very ruins based. You know, you've got shipping containers tossed around and little puddles of toxic waste, and but at the same time there is some really interesting storytelling happening, and I can't wait to spend some more time with this game because there are journal entries that are unlocked that seem to be from the perspective of a different character than you, the golfer. And there's also a radio station, a fully voice acted radio station that includes it includes interviews with people who remember the Earth and what life on Earth was like before it was ruined, and people who tell their stories. It's fascinating.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. Ordinarily, a game like this is the kind of thing where I would kind of tune out the normal sound and put on a podcast or
Sure,
something
because
else in the
it's
background.
golf. You know, golf is meant to be
it's tricky
relaxing.
golf. But with this game, I want to hear those stories that are within this world. And it's relaxing golf, relaxing 2D golf, but also you're hearing this story unfold about what happened to this dystopia. It's fascinating. I'm
sounds
very, very
wonderful.
taken.
I do have to ask logistics on the game. So fairways and greens, are they still green?
I mean, they are green. They glow a little more with radioactivity, but the color palette is actually really interesting. Most wastelands tend to be extremely, extremely brown.
Very brown.
Lots of sepia. But Wasteland Golf Club is sort of there's a really interesting color palette here. The art is really cool. It's sort of, there are some pastels, some blues, some pinks, some yellows. It's really neat. Really, really neat. I'm very taken with the game. It was an unexpected find for me. So.
Is there music on the radio?
I have not heard much music. There's some instrumental type music, which is interesting. It fits the setting very well. It's very sort of dystopian, futuristic type music. But I haven't really heard any licensed music of any kind.
What system is this on?
I'm playing it on Switch. I believe it's also available on PC. I'm not sure if it's on consoles, but I'm fairly certain it's also on PC.
Good to check. Each of the games we're playing, it's funny because you're primarily a PC gamer, I'm an Xbox gamer, and Jen is primarily a PlayStation gamer. So we kind of have all represented here, but we do cross over whenever we can.
Definitely running the gamut. Oh, Mercedes just bought it for PS4, PS5 in the chat.
Oh,
so.
good. I'll check it out.
That's great. Definitely check out Wasteland Golf Club. I recommend. I also wanted to mention, this is not necessarily an indie game. I feel like it has gotten a lot of buzz, but I've been adoring It Takes Two. I think this might be my game of the year, guys. It's so
really
good.
Even now.
So
okay, so
good.
this
Yes.
came out like 4 or 5 months ago, and do you have someone to play it with?
Yes, I've been playing with my friend Vendertron, who is my fellow co-host at We Just Love Games. And Vender and I, we've been splitting this up into about an hour a day, a couple times a week. So it's been a journey for us. And you play as a set of parents who are having some relationship difficulties and have been transformed into small dolls.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and you navigate the world as small dolls, and it's sort of a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids vibe, except Honey, I Shrunk the Parents. And you're trying to get back to your daughter and get her to help you transform back. And there is this Book, who is an incredible character in this game. He is the Book of Love. He's sort of trying to help you repair your relationship with your partner. And there are militant squirrels and an adorable bee, and it's just a magnificent game. Game. I love this. The writing is so good. Platforming is good. The boss fights are so challenging while also being really, you learn from your failures. The cost of death is not too high in this game. So
That's good. And being a co-op game, you don't want it to be too frustrating that way. Now, I think it is important to mention it can only be played co-op. Is that right?
yes, it can only be played co-op. And when you purchase the game, you get a friend pass. So only one of the people needs to purchase the game and the other can join.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, it's really great. So I definitely recommend checking out It Takes Two. And another game that I've checked out recently that I really want to call attention to is called Pine Creek. And Pine Creek is a Game Boy game, which is unusual in 2021.
Very.
Right?
Are you
Right?
playing on an emulator or how are you
I
playing?
am playing it on an emulator. Yes, I'm playing it on an emulator. It's available on their website. I believe Incubate Games is the developer, and they are still making Game Boy games. They've made several, and I love it. It's really, really cool because Pine Creek, it absolutely looks and feels like a Game Boy game, but it has some more modern sensibilities. There are things happening in Pine Creek that would not have happened on the original Game Boy system. It's definitely, there's a supernatural bent to this story. There's murder and mystery and some family dysfunction. It's an adventure game that is really, really interesting. I love this kind of game where you just experience a small town and you're talking to all the people and trying to learn what's underneath this surface.
All in black and white pixels at about 240p.
Isn't it amazing? It's amazing. I love it. I love it. So definitely check out Pine Creek. Check out Incubate Games. I love some of the work that those guys have been doing.
To jump in real quick, Shalene, I'm noticing in chat a lot of people chatting along, and I know we're going to wrap up before too long, but we're talking about games we're playing and some hidden gems. I definitely want to hear from chat what some of their hidden gems are too. I want to enable the purchasing both ways. So, if we're enabling you, please enable us as well.
Exactly. Thank you, Jess. Absolutely. That's pretty much what I've been playing lately. I'm really looking forward to today is my day. I wish I could have gotten the day off work completely, because today a couple of my most anticipated games have released. Skatebird is out. Have you guys seen Skatebird?
No.
No.
Okay. Let me tell you about Skatebird, ladies. Okay. You play as an adorable little bird. And he is a skateboard fan, and you skateboard around as a little burb, and you collect hats. And it's set in this tiny little adorable setting. It's so cute, so cute. I cannot wait to play Skatebird. I Am Fish is the follow-up to I Am Bread. And there's this group of fish who have been split up, and your goal is to reunite them in the ocean.
Oh my
So
gosh,
cute.
I need that. Is that
they're both on Game Pass.
They're on Game Pass. Oh my gosh, really?
Skatebird and I Am Fish are both on Game Pass. I am so excited.
Turnip Boy's gonna have to wait.
Mm-hmm. Let's visit the chat real quick before we need to wrap up. We've got a lot of people talking about Spiritfarer.
Oh my
Jen,
God.
I think you've played that.
I have never cried so hard and so heartily in a game before as I did in Spiritfarer. It's so beautiful. It feels like it's so nice to see somebody else enjoying that game too. What a beautiful game that is. It's on Game Pass, I think, still. And it's a gorgeous little game about loss. I do play these really like psychologically dark games, don't I?
Right.
It is really, really dark in theme, but not really. And you've got these adorable little animals. The animations are gorgeous. You're on a little boat, ferrying the spirits from the land of the living to the beyond.
That sounds wonderful.
I'm getting all misty thinking about it. Such a great game.
Hannah in chat mentions Cloudpunk. I've played about an hour of Cloudpunk and really enjoyed it. The graphics are amazing. It's this incredible cyberpunk city. It's very charming. I like Cloudpunk.
I like most games with punk in the title. Frostpunk, what I played
Oh
last
my
year, that really
gosh.
left a lasting impression on me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Absolutely.
brutal game. It's so bleak. Frostpunk.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it really is. It really is. It's one of those. As much as I love city building sims, I've never played a city building sim where failure is almost guaranteed.
Right.
Uh,
Right. It's
That was
brutal.
the difficult part. You're knowing what you're doing is seeing how many people you can save, not how you can grow your city necessarily, although you can as you get more experience and practice at it, but more how can you keep people as happy as possible as you're heading towards the end and inevitable extinction.
Wow. That's a little heavy.
Oh, To the Moon, says Caitlin. Oh, that's a lovely game. That's an adventure game.
To the Moon.
Mhm.
I love pixel art games. I love the minimalism of of pixel art. I'm gonna look that up. Jess has been compiling this great list for us in chat with all the games that that people are bringing up.
Mercedes mentions Yoku's Island Express, a pinball Metroidvania starring a dung beetle that works in a post office.
What?
I have to check this out. I have to check that out.
Does he roll the mail?
Oh, I hope so. I
Little
really hope so.
packages?
He probably flips it. Return of the Obra Dinn, also a great game. One that I started but never continued with. Did you play that one, Shelley?
I have that one. I own a copy. It's been on my list for ages, and I haven't started it yet. But I'm looking forward to it.
That backlog we were talking about earlier.
Ooh, Dawn brings up A Short Hike. A Short Hike is so good. It's so good. It's precious and wholesome, and it's really, really good. Platforming and a bit of adventure and meeting characters. I love those games where you're meeting characters in a small town and learning about them. So good. So good.
So before we move about Shelley, do you want to talk about some of our favorite hidden gems from Wasteland or recent history?
Jess, you're breaking up a little bit.
I'm
don't.
sorry.
Yeah, it's a bit of a. I don't know if the connection is bad for everybody, but I'm having a little trouble understanding you.
Little chat.
Yes. Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about some of your favorite hidden gems, just very briefly?
Oh, my favorite hidden gem is not so hidden. It's Stardew Valley, and I have like 9 characters going in Stardew now, all with different goals and different things they love to do. I'm deep into a fishing playthrough right now, and with the new content, I'm trying to get all the fish because there's a new room to unlock in the little fisherman's shack. So I'm diving in, trying to do that. That's my Stardew is my go-to. If you've listened to the show, you know I've always got Stardew stories and the Stardew dramas. And gosh, I'm still scandalized about the mayor leaving his shorts and boil. How did they get there? Why did he take them off?
Oh, that's amazing. That's so good. So good. Let's see. What are some of my other favorites? I've been playing Darkside Detective lately. I've been playing that on Xbox. That is a very pixel art situation. It's another adventure game with supernatural elements, and you play as this detective who's very Mulder, and people treat him like he's a nut. It's really fun. Very
That's
cute game.
awesome.
But I think that brings us just about to the end of our time here. And again, we want to thank Women in Games for inviting us to be a part of the conference this year. We've had an absolutely splendid time chatting with you all. Did you enjoy this panel out there? Subscribe to us at Dames Who Game. We are the Dames Who Game podcast. We are half of the Dames. So there are many other fantastic dames for you to meet and get to know. via our podcast. You can also listen to me on That Fallout Show and Game Stack podcasts. And of course, Jess and Jen are on the Fallout feed periodically. Jess is there all the time. Jen is there occasionally. Jess, are you still having the audio issue?
I'm not certain.
Yes. So I am going to go ahead and plug United Wastelanders Network, which is Jess's other project. You can find that on Twitter at @UWastelanders. It is a Fallout-based streaming network. They do some fantastic shows. I love their camp building shows. It's amazing.
They're fantastic.
And Jen, do you want to tell us about your other show?
I am on Butcher, Baker, and Candlemaker in Space. It's space! Sorry, it's a No Man's Sky podcast where I talk to my two friends, Baker and Ray, about No Man's Sky. We get to nerd out over mechanics and stuff like that. So if you're really into No Man's Sky, join us at Butcher, Baker, and Candlemaker in Space. And then Twitter, it's BBCISSS.
Love.
I also have... I do some game-related art and food-related art at Art by Panta. You can PANTA. You can find that on Twitter as well.
Splendid. Thank you, Jen. If you wanted to get in touch with us, you can email us at dameswhogamepodcast@gmail.com, dameswhogamepodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter at dameswhogame. I am Shalene L on Twitter, SHALINEL. Jess is Sleep is for T. Sleep is for the letter T. And Jen is Pantagruelia, PANTAGRUELIA. Thank you so much for having us, and goodbye.